This is Daniel from iApologia.com, where science, reason, and Christianity meet. Near where I live, there is a statue of Christopher Columbus. Recently, I went over there and tried to take a picture of it because there is talk about maybe having it removed. Well, why would they have Columbus removed? Well, it's based upon a worldview, an anti-Christian worldview. I'm not necessarily going to be an apologist for Christopher Columbus. However, we need to have truth and accuracy with what we're talking about here because many people attack Christianity because of colonization and because of Christopher Columbus being a Catholic, a Christian, so he must represent Christianity. And whatever bad deeds he did is often pinned on Christianity as a whole. Now, if you have children who go to the public school, more likely they are reading from a book called Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. Now, if you do not know about this book, maybe your kids do not have it. Maybe they will be reading out of it in college. I don't know. But it's a fairly popular book in the public school system today. And maybe your kids are not reading it, but many children are reading it today. So what do we make of that? Who is Howard Zinn and what is he trying to accomplish? Well, Howard Zinn is a communist. He's a Marxist, and he's a revisionist historian as well. His book has gained quite a prominence recently, and it has made its way onto a number of different sites. One place is Snoops that tries to fact check something using his book as the source for the truth. And his book is actually not true. It's actually full of mistruths, non-clear statements or statements that Columbus made or other people made, where he pins them together to make it sound like Columbus was this evil monster. And not just Columbus, but the rest of the founding fathers as well. Columbus is just in the first chapter, so you can't get by the first chapter without hitting the topic of Columbus. Well, there is a website that came out recently. It's titled The Top 5 Atrocities committed by Christopher Columbus. And there is a number of different sources that can easily debunk this, but one of the sources that I've come across recently is a guy named, his name is Raphael. His name is Raphael Orts. And he has written a number of books. One of the books is Christopher Columbus the Hero. And I have not read the book. However, I've read his website, the official ChristopherColumbus.com, I think. Official ChristopherColumbus.com. And he addresses these 5 atrocities that this one website gives. And this one website pretty much just copies and pastes ideas, thoughts, and quotes straight from Zinn's history book, which we're just talking about here. So since this is such a volatile issue, since this is an important topic, let's go through it. Just one item that he addresses, and let's destroy that real quickly here. Zinn says this. He says Columbus had 2 goals in the Caribbean: to find gold and slaves. Columbus returned home to Spain and came back to the Caribbean with 17 ships and 1,200 men. His men traveled from island to island, taking Indians as captives. In 1495, this is the end of his second voyage there, in a large slave raid, Columbus and his men rounded up 1,500 Arawak men, women, and children and put them in pens. They selected what they considered the best natives and loaded them onto ships back to Spain. And he goes on to say 200 died en route. Well, this sounds like Columbus was this evil monster. Now, Columbus was no perfect person. I mean, if you can find a perfect person, great, because the only one that I know of that ever walked on earth is someone whose name was Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So Columbus is not perfect, just like you and I are not perfect. In fact, the people that are the most critical of Columbus, including Zinn, are people who do not have the most moral authority in the world. Talking about hypocrisy, like seriously, Zinn going to talk about Columbus's greed for gold? Really? Okay. Being a Marxist, Marxists are known to be greedy. I mean, think about it. They're trying to take other people's property and land, their money, and what? For themselves and for others, right? Forced redistribution. That's called organized theft, mass organized theft. Talking about greed. Second thing, many people who are opposed to Columbus are also pro-abortion. Whoa. So you don't like Columbus enslaving people, which is a fair concern, but you are promoting killing unborn human babies? How sick. Seriously, what moral authority does a person like that have? Zero. I mean, seriously, what authority can they say? Talking about hypocrisy to the highest level, to the sickest level. And third, a lot of these types of people promote sexual immorality, promote living in different sexual sins, such as the LGBTQ activity. So these people are not at all they don't have that moral authority to really be respectable in their dialogue on this issue. But however, we have to address it because it's out there and we see statues coming down of Columbus. So no matter what Columbus's fault, he wasn't the monster that Zinn makes him out to be. In this Raphael's website, which I'll link below, he says this: Zinn's statement is above is false. Columbus's goals were gold and spices, not gold and slaves. The Taino people were his allies. The Taino people were a tribe within the Arawak population of Native Americans. And Columbus was commanded by the Queen, to punish anyone, including Spaniards, who would mistreat them. Remember, Columbus was not a Spaniard; he was Italian, which is why it's really weird that people attack Columbus when it is actually the Spaniard people, who were doing a lot of the atrocities that were pinned upon Columbus. So Columbus was an Italian, and he grew up in a Christian worldview, that helped start, actually, a few hundred years before, kickstart the economic system that we now call capitalism, the free market system, which you can see why Columbus is so open to trade. He wants to trade because he came out from a milieu of free trade. He either destroyed, talking about this, going back to the comment by Raphael, when Columbus returned to the New World, this is his second voyage, he fulfilled his promises about the Caribs, because before he promised the Taino people that he would help defend the Taino people against the Caribs. And remember, the Caribs were really, really bad people. He may say this a little later, but the Carib people, the word Caribbean comes from the word Carib, from the Carib tribes. We also know that the word cannibal comes from that language, that people as well. So when I say cannibal, I really mean cannibal. These people were cannibals. They would eat people. They would take over other tribes, including the Taino people and the Arawaks, and so they would fight them. They would capture their villages. They'd kill the men and eat them. They would take the boys, castrate them, and grow them to be a little larger so they can eat them. They would take the women, rape them to have more kids so they can repeat the process. The girls would raise them and then rape them as well so they could have more offspring to eat. These people were sick, like immensely sick. How sick can you get beyond this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is like some of the most vicious, sick stuff that you can even talk about. It's so sick that it's like, ugh. So he either destroyed their canoes, talking about the Caribs, so they could not sell again to terrorize the Taino people because they were attacking the Taino tribe, or would capture them and send them to Spain as prisoners of war. However, when Columbus arrived in Hispaniol, he found 39 of his men that he left there dead. A rival chief to the Taino chief had killed them. Columbus decided to settle in another part of the island for almost a year. He did everything he could do to keep peace among the native population. Columbus was forced to arrest some of them later. Think of it as more of an arrest, a prisoner of war type of situation, because they started to kill more of his men. Okay, so they killed more of his men later. A month later, the chief of the Taino people, he asked Columbus to help him fight a war against some of these rival chieftains from the Iraq population because they had not only killed some of his wives and kidnapped them, so he wanted him back. So remember, these people were polygamists. Columbus agreed since they had also killed some of his men. Columbus fought them, defeated them, and then sent some of them along with the cannibals back to Spain as prisoners of war. This is what the slave raid was all about. The Zinn mislabeled. He goes on, Raphael goes on, though it is true many of them died, talking about the natives on the route to Spain. En route, it's also true that many of the 1,200 people who came with Columbus died as well from diverse number of reasons. And you have to remember that at this day and age, they didn't have antibiotics in modern medicine. They didn't know about proper nutrition necessarily. So yes, there was a lot of deaths when you traveled by boat. It wasn't just a one-way ticket, like a one-way situation where only the natives died and the Europeans never died. No, actually, a huge majority of the Europeans would die too when they go to a new land. So this is fairly common. It was not good, nothing to be praised, sad, very sad, but it was common. All right, so there you go. Was Columbus an evil man? Well, we go through a bunch of different topics. This is just one of them. Was he a slave owner or slave driver or slave master? Well, not really. He was more taking prisoners of war. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, please like this video. Please comment below, because the more you comment and like, the more it shows up on searches and stuff like that. Also, don't forget to share it with your friends, especially on social media. It'd be great to have more people seeing this video. If you like this channel, subscribe to it. Also, don't forget to check out iApologia.com, where I have other papers and articles on the Christian worldview, giving defense for Christ. Don't forget to check out iApologia Facebook and Twitter pages. Also, one thing that many people don't know is that I have another page at Facebook called Liberty Bomb, and it's also on Twitter. Feel free to like that, jump on there. Liberty Bomb is a page where I talk a lot about different types of political, economic, social issues, along with iApologia, which is mainly focused on apologetics and also social issues as well. Don't forget to check out Parler. If you're on Parler, I'm on Parler. I'm on MeWe. I'm on USA Life. So there's a number of different social media outlets I'm on. So definitely check me out and connect with me. I'd love to have you and hear your thoughts on this. With that, I wanted to say have a good day, and I want to encourage you to go out and give your world Christ.